Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by FPL Salah to have a look back at double game week 24 and what a game week it was, and then have a look at game week 25. Of course, we're talking about transfers, players to target, but also general chip strategy as well is still very important depending on what chip you may or may not have played in double game week 24. Abdul, first of all, just a word on double game week 24, your team, but also just how you felt about the assistant manager chip, and especially given we're recording the day after that Merseyside Derby, just your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, the game I think was great from a footballing perspective. For me, from an FPL point of view, it wasn't that great because I had Slot as my um, assistant manager. So I was on an 18 point. He only lost 3 points from that goal, but it gained, I think, Moyes owners like 9 points or something. And it was pretty much like Slot versus Moyes for the guys who played the M this week. So it was a bit of a blow. But yeah, I think it was fun. Obviously the game week was drawn out a bit. I'm still not too sure on it overall as a chip, but yeah, first game week was fun because it was obviously like you were rooting for. You knew that when Liverpool scored, you were getting points for the goal, and you're just kind of waiting for that final whistle to blow, and then bang. I mean, it would have been fantastic as a Moyes owner. Like I know you own Moyes, and that goal must have been sweet.
Well, I was just saying to you off camera, I do think it might be my favourite ever FPL goal because I can't remember a goal. First of all, it's in the 98th minute and it's a volley from a centre back. That is just class for footballing
Yeah.
reasons. And it's in the Merseyside Derby, and there are genuine limbs out there, which is just it's just brilliant to see. Secondly, as you said, it's such a swing between.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone this week was either on. If you played the assistant managership, you were either on Slot or
Mhm.
Moyes. I didn't really see anyone else on any other manager. So that swing, and that was a pretty big decision. You know, people selling Liverpool players to get Slot, and then people saying, "Well, don't do that. You've already got three, etc., etc." That swing of what was it, 12 points in that one goal between the two. It's very rare for that to ever get a swing that big. And I can't. I was just saying to you, I can't think of a time when we've had a swing that's that big between two sort of different groups of managers. So I enjoyed it. I've always said I like the chip. I feel like it's very polarizing, and that goal sort of supports why it's polarizing. I mean, like, just I don't know what you think about having one goal or one moment affect points that much.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd say from a game state point of view, it's not good because like it just increases like the luck in the game,
Yeah,
and the big point swing. So I mean it's fun, yeah, but I'd say it makes. I mean, I think we kind of. I think the way FPL is at the moment, it's a really good balance. Like it's you get the points for the goals, clean sheets, assists. There's not like points for tackles and recoveries and all that kind of stuff. It's quite a simple game, and I think it has a good balance between like kind of luck and skill, I'd say. Whereas this just pushed it more towards the kind of the luck factor, which I guess some people might enjoy and some people won't. But yeah, I mean the one thing it is good for, I think overall, it's good for engaged managers because you've got to plan for it. Like, it's not a chip it's not a triple captain where you can just kind of, luck out in a single game week. I think this is one where you really got to plan for. So I think if you're an engaged manager, then you probably want the triple captain to sorry, the assistant manager to stay or something similar to that. I don't know if they're going to do it next season. I think I don't know. I think they'll probably see the reaction and then decide whether they're going to introduce it as a kind of mainstay chip.
yeah, I feel like they will. I feel like they will, just because they've put it all in place now. They've
Mhm.
set it up, and obviously a lot of thought has gone into it. I mean, nobody expected this sort of chip in the first place, but then on top of that, like the table bonus, all the
Yeah,
points like that, etc., etc. It seems
yeah.
like a lot of work to then go back on it. But yeah, as you said, they're obviously going to have to gauge if people like it or not. But there we go. That is it for the assistant manager chip. Let's now move on to your team. Okay, so your team is on screen, and I think that we need to talk about one man in particular here. Your striker got 21 points, and what was his effective ownership? I mean, absolutely ridiculous. You brought him in last week. This is Beto, of course.
Yeah,
21 pointer.
yeah. I mean, he he is my new like FPL hero. Like He pretty much saved my game week because I got battered by the Salah triple captainers and I got battered by Moyes owners, effectively. And he just, 21 point. I mean, the only, like, I'm going to be honest here, the only reason I got him over in DI was because I couldn't, I couldn't afford in DI and slot because I wanted to go for slot. So I had to get, Beto. And there was a bit of like reasoning behind it because I knew he was going to be the number nine. I knew he was going to be good for minutes with DCL out. So it wasn't just like a random pick, but I would have gone for NDI if I had the money. So a bit of luck there, which is always welcome. And I guess you could say, look, if I went for Moyes, right, I wouldn't have got Beto. So I think from a personal point of view, like, I think I made the right decision in the end. Obviously, if you want to be really hindsighty, then you could have said, I could have sent João Pedro to Beto, but I don't think I was going to do that because then, I could have kept Wood and had Wood 17 pointer as well. But yeah, really happy with him in the end. And I think, he has pretty much, cemented his place, as their number nine now.
I think like his performances over the like recent games have been ridiculously good. Both games in the double, he just
Yeah.
played so well.
In the first game, like those two finishes were phenomenal, especially the second one where I think it was Garner who played the ball in, like a through ball, and he just hit it first time, like one of those Henry-esque finishes. So yeah, enjoyed his three goals.
Wow. An Everton striker being likened in a way to Thierry Henry. Who saw that coming
It
a
was
few
just a
months
finish.
ago? Crazy.
Yeah.
There we go. A solid green arrow, 130k roughly. Decent game week. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into your team for the upcoming week, I do want to talk more generally about chip strategy because I feel like
Mhm.
people watching this are probably in one of three or four camps, I suppose. The first is people that use assistant manager this week on, well, just in general. So on slot, what do? Do they just roll it? And then secondly, if they used it on Moyes, what do they do? So let's start by talking about what to do with the assistant manager chip this week.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly easy decision. I think those who went Moyes, you go to Emery, and those who've got slot, you stick to slot because it's you're using a transfer. I know when you first picked your manager, it doesn't cost you a transfer, but now it does. So I think it's a fairly easy decision for both sets of managers. Go for the double game week manager, and those who've got slot just keep.
Okay. Second question: if you triple captained last week,
Hmm.
do you assistant manager chip this week?
See, this is a tough one. I think you can, because you've still got a double game week. So and then you've got, I guess you've got two good options this week in slot and Emery. You can decide whether you want to go for the safe, like similar to last week, you go for the safe option in slot, or do you go with Emery for the table bonus in the second game? But then there's the game week 27 as well, which is, a single. But then there's also a chance where, you can save until game week 36, like 36, 37, 38. Obviously, we don't know exactly which fixtures are going to go in each double game week, but we do know that the game week 33 is going to be the big double game week, right? So that's when I guess we'll all play the bench boost. So that kind of leaves game week 36, 37, 38. So I guess it kind of depends on your risk appetite. I think playing it in 25 is probably the safer route. But wait until game week 36 until we get, there'd be more chance of, I guess, a table bonus, and I guess there's a small chance of another double game week being put in there. If there's any kind of unforeseen circumstances with games being postponed. I don't see that now with the kind of the worst of the weather out of the way, but you never know. So I think there's two choices. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here for when to play the AM now if you've still got it.
Okay, and then the final question is: if you didn't use any chip last week, or for whatever reason, what chip would you use this week?
Yeah, I would definitely use the triple captain if you've got it.
Okay.
Week on Mo Salah, definitely.
I felt quite fortunate last week that the assistant manager sort of came about, and the double happened, and it sort of it tempted people not to use, or a lot of people that would have used triple captain
Yeah.
on Mo Salah didn't end up doing it, and I've already used my triple captain for 6 points earlier in the season. I feel like this week is an even better set of fixtures than last week. I mean, that Wolves game is scary. mean, no one
Yeah.
expects them to get 29 points, but yeah, Wolves at home, Villa away. It's pretty good, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, like I think those last like in Gaming 24, I was actually quite confident going against Salah. Like not totally confident, but I just thought they're actually two like tough away games.
Yeah.
Liverpool scored four, and then Salah had four attacking returns. It's just one of those where he's just having the season of his life, and I honestly would not be surprised if he got a similar score in this double as well.
Oh, wow.
Um, I mean, look, he's been doing it all season. Like, this is not like he's literally from the word go. He's been putting up like an insane amount. I think he's averaging like 10.3
Yeah.
points per game. I mean, he's got like what 53 points to beat his record or something like that, and he's definitely going to beat it. He's gonna beat his, unless he gets injured. So yeah, I mean, I definitely go for triple captain, and then you've got the assistant manager and bench boost to use in the other two double game weeks.
Yeah, I think 10.3 is his current average, and he needs something like 3.5 or 3.8 or
Yeah,
something to beat his record. So yeah, as you say,
yeah.
only injury will stop him. Or who knows? He might finally be like, oh, actually, I've actually been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now, and I should probably have some sort of lull. But for
Yeah,
whatever reason,
I
he's
doubt it.
incapable of doing that. Fair play to him. He's one of the most consistent players we've ever seen in the league,
Oh yeah.
if not arguably the most consistent. That's a probably a debate for another time. Let's get into your team now for Game Week 25. Finally, I know this is meant to be a Game Week 25 preview, but I mean we're recording this after everything that's happened
Yeah.
in Game Week 24, so we can sort of react to it and then have a look at Game Week 25. So let's talk about Game Week 25. Of course, you still have your assistant manager chip in play. That's going to stay on slot. Apart from that, what are you thinking with your team?
I think I'm in quite a good position, Jack. I've got four free transfers.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to just, I think, use the one this week and do Sar to Rogers. I actually even did contemplate just going straight, like from Sar to either Clivert or Dango and just ignoring Rogers. But I think because I've got the four free transfers,
Yeah.
I've got that flexibility because I'll probably just get Rogers for this one game week, to be honest. Like, get him this week, then probably move to a Bournemouth midfielder the following week.
Right.
Um, I still think it's debatable whether that's worth it because it's just booking in a transfer. But I think with four free transfers, I could do that. I could just take a put, like, take the risk on Rodgers, and hoping he gets something a big score against Ipswich, and then something against Liverpool. So that's kind of my plan at the moment. Sarr to Rodgers, and that's it. And then I've got Pedro, Colwell, and Mikalenko on the bench. So I'll be playing better over João Pedro. I think he's pretty much lost his place now, to be honest. I
Do
think
you think? I've seen some people
yeah.
saying that. Yeah.
I mean I mean he was dropped against Chelsea, right, in the cup, and Rutter was playing in his position, and he scored. So I'd guess he's probably bench against Chelsea. Um, and I don't really have like enough in the bank right now because my assistant manager's taking up a bit of my funds to, like, upgrade him to anybody I want. So I'll
Yep.
just leave him on the bench for now, and Bettel just turned out to be. I mean, I plan to get Bettel for the double and just bench him like for the foreseeable until game week 29. But I think now he's just, he's totally surprised me. So I don't mind playing him against Palace, and I think he might actually be in penalties as well now with the Ndiaye out injured.
Yeah.
Because Calvert-Lewin's not there either. So I mean, he is their number nine. I guess it makes sense. McNeil's not there either. He's injured. So yeah, he's turned out to be a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. Fair play. It's interesting you say about whether Rodgers is worth it or not. I think
Mm,
just going based on the predicted points here on Fantasy Football Hub, it would
mm,
suggest that if you have four free transfers, maybe he is,
yeah.
because he's on. Well, all the Bournemouth mids are about five-ish predicted points. The one that you would go to, like Cliver or Dango, they're on 4.9 and
Mm,
5.1 predicted points.
yeah.
Rogers is at 8.5. So it's not like, I don't know how you value a transfer in terms of points. I've always seen it as like roughly 4 points. I know it isn't
Yeah.
actually like that if you want to get into like the analytics of it really, but in my head, I always think if I make a transfer now, it means I can't make it a free one later. Therefore, it's like similar to a hit. And I think, to be fair, with this sort of move, it is quite like that because 100% you're going to be
Yeah.
um, going to, well, you don't know 100%, but you know that you're likely to go to a Bournemouth mid the week after anyway, or at some point.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to because Villa's fixtures starting to get and they've got a blank, 100% blank at Gameweek 29. So he is a transfer, whether it's next week or the week after, it's going to happen. So yeah, it's I think it is close, and I agree with you. I do kind of look at a transfer as like roughly 4 points, just as like a hit really. So I think that's what kind of makes it close. And look, Southampton is a great fixture. Like one of those Bournemouth mids could easily outscore Rodgers in the double. But I think you got to take your chances when you got two games against one.
Yeah, very fair. Also, like Ipswich at home is a very good
Yeah,
game.
that's the money game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Let's talk about doublers in general. I feel like people that are on triple Liverpool now in whatever sort of way are sort of set on that, right? I mean, I can't see much movement between Liverpool players. A slight question might be, and we saw this last week, as I mentioned, with managers selling Liverpool players to get slot in.
Hmm.
Say you were on Moyes and you were like, I really want to go slot this week. Would you sell any Liverpool player to get there, or is that just not really worth it?
No, not now because I think the closer we approach Game Week 29, you really, really want your transfers, and
Right.
we've just seen with Moyes as well, like the potential of a you know, of a bonus game. It's 22 points against 15. So yeah, just if you've got Moyes, just go with Emery, keep your three Liverpool. I will make a comment. I forgot to mention Trent actually because I think obviously I'm happy he came on. He got like about half an hour. So I think for me, he's probably a keep now. Because I was actually thinking of moving him onto Van Dijk if he wasn't featured against Everton, or he came on for a few minutes. But I think he got enough minutes for me to hold on to him.
And then let's talk about Villa players then. You've mentioned Rodgers already, so obviously you like him as a pick.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there aren't actually like that many options, if we're being honest. I mean, the one that probably stands out, apart from Rodgers, is Watkins, but he's still got this flag.
Mm.
I don't think we've heard anything at the time of recording in terms of his fitness, but is he one that we should be looking at? I mean, the move from Isak to Watkins is very easy on
Yeah.
paper, but should we be doing it?
Well, this it's a move I had planned in a few weeks ago. I was going to make that move, but then obviously Watkins' injury just kind of, I think for me, just really puts a damper on that move because like first things first, I mean, even if he does train this week, there's no guarantee he starts in that Ipswich game, and that's the game we want him in. They've got Rashford there now. They've got Malin, who can play as a number nine. He played as the number nine against Spurs in the cup. So we know Emery can use him there. So yeah, I do think for me, I think if I already had Rodgers in place, then I think it would be a bit closer because it's another move. I guess I could just take a punt on, and then bring Isak back after Game Week 29. But you're going to lose a lot of value in Isak as well. He's 9.5 million now. I'll have to buy him back with about zero point 0.3 cheaper, so
Yeah.
0.3 more expensive. So there's that into play as well. I just think there's too much uncertainty around Watkins. I think if he was fully fit, 100%, then the decision would be much closer. But I just think for me, especially when I've not got Rodgers, I think he is the number one asset to get if you don't have him. And then after that, it's just like, it's Watkins after that, yeah, but then there's nobody else. Like, you don't want a defender, half the defense is injured. And like Rogers, Rashford, Asensio, those guys are just kind of, it's too soon, I think, with them.
I think it is important to remember that the second game, and I know it's always nice to go doublers, but it is Liverpool, and that is probably
Yeah.
the worst game you can have right now. I mean, like, to be fair, out of the actual Everton players yesterday, Beto got points and Tarkovsky got points. And he wasn't too much of a pick, but Beto was the only one really to get points out of the players yesterday. I mean, the others got one, pretty
Yeah.
much one or two. But it is at home, and you never know. And
Yeah.
maybe it's a good matchup for Emery. Who knows?
Villa are decent at home. I think they've only lost the one game at home, and that was against Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you'd bet them losing the second one, it'd be Liverpool the team to do it. I think. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I think Rodgers is probably worth it. Watkins is it's a lot more tougher to justify.
I want to ask you before we have a look at your recommended transfers this week for your team, just about some players that aren't in form. We've talked a lot about some players that have just obviously been really good and you're looking to bring in. They're not in your team, but someone like an Ndai now, you said you were going to sort of let. Yeah, sorry, he's not out of form, but he probably is injured. I was going to come on to players that are out of form. Some people like Bruno Fernandes, etc., who
Yeah.
I think we'll have to talk about a little bit more on potential replacements for someone like him. But someone like an Ndai now, do you sell him or do you just sort of leave him on your bench in the way you were going to do with Beto? Is he worth that extra move?
I think it just look. It depends how much you've got in the bank, and who you can move up to. I think for most people, it'd probably be just a case of leaving him on the bench, um, until we get firstly more news. Because if he's going to be out a few weeks, then I think you can just keep him because Everton have got a good fixture in Gameweek 29, against West Ham at home. If he's out for the long term, then I think you maybe deal with him in the next few weeks or the next week. Because I think especially managers who have got their assistant manager in play, they're going to have those funds tied up in there as well. So you probably won't have enough money in the bank to upgrade them to someone you want. So yeah, I think I'd say for most keep and then wait for news and then just take it from there.
That is a good point. Like I'm sort of forgetting that you do have money tied up in the assistant manager that you are
Yeah.
just going to get back into your bank as soon as the chip finishes.
Yep.
Good point. Okay. Next question. Yeah, midfielders really. Um, Bruno is very specific, but some people have him. I actually have him myself, which is probably why he's come to mind. But I want to talk about replacements in general for midfielders and specifically how you would rank the Bournemouth options because I feel like if people don't have their transfers, like me this week, to go to Rodgers, probably just looking at a Bournemouth mid instead and just keeping them until whenever, because obviously they play in 29. How would you rank the Bournemouth mids? And do you think that Bournemouth mids are sort of the key options to go for in midfield?
Yeah, no brainers. Like
Right.
just the fact of how good their fixtures are, how good they're playing, and they're probably going to have two double game weeks coming up as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, ranking is difficult, right? If you're
Yeah.
taking everything into consideration and price as well, right? If you're taking
Mm.
all that in consideration, I'd probably go Dango's number one, and then I'd just go Clive second just because of penalties, and then Semenyo. And the thing with Clive, if you look at his non-pen XG, it's way behind Semenyo and Dango. Um, but he has got penalties, and that is a thing in FPL. So, and it's just such a safe option just to have the penalty taker. So I'd go Dango, Clivert, and Semenyo. But look, all three are it's just so close. All three are great options. Just pick two, or I think that most people are just going to go for double mids, right, in the next few weeks. So
Do you think?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I
Okay.
think um, just look at. I mean, I think it's a good idea to just looking at their price and how they're playing in their fixtures and the
Yeah.
double up and a fixture in blank game week 29 as well. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that is true. In the back of my mind, I'm slightly thinking, are we going a little bit overboard on Bournemouth a little bit? But I mean, they are playing so well, so perhaps not.
Yeah,
The
and they've been playing well all season, so it's not like
That's a very good point. Very
yeah,
good point. That is a good point. Yeah, it's not as if they're just in crazy form.
yeah.
Yeah, good point. I just wanted to ask about Arsenal and potentially like going for someone like a Trossard instead of a Bournemouth mid. What would you think about that? Just because they have a lot of injuries, so people are saying, well, he's going to play, which he has been doing anyway. He might be playing up top. They've got Leicester away immediately.
Yeah.
Then is it West Ham at home? I mean, the fixture of the next two are good for Arsenal. What do you think about someone like him compared to a safer pick, I suppose, in a Bournemouth mid?
I don't know. I don't think I'd fancy it. I think with that many injuries, are they going to be as fluid in the attack? Saka's not there. Yeah, they've got Odegaard, but Martinelli's injured as well now. They're probably going to be playing like Trossard and Nwaneri. I'd probably be more interested in Nwaneri. I think he's 4.5 million,
Yeah,
so he'd be a good enabler to like upgrade a João Pedro or a Ndiaye if you've got him. But no, I don't see the appeal in Arsenal attack when we've got I guess so many. I guess we've got the Bournemouth mids there. We've got Mbeumo. who's I guess is a bit of a season keeper, and then Salah and Palmer aren't going anywhere, I guess, until we wild card in game week 30 or 31. So yeah, I mean I mean look, it could work out because you said the fixtures are good for the next two, but probably personally not for me.
Very fair. Let's have a look and round things off then with your AI recommended transfers. If you still don't know what this is, then fair enough. I respect you. This is the best thing in fantasy football, in my opinion, especially, well, in particular on Fantasy Football Hub. Your recommended transfers are given to you each and every week by the Fantasy Football Hub AI, and it's totally objective, and that is the beauty of it. It tells you what you can do with your team, what an AI thinks you should do with your team based purely on points. No human input at all. It's completely objective, and yeah, no biases. So you can use this as a sort of gauge to see, am I thinking about the right sort of things here? Am I slightly going down the wrong path? Am I being a little bit too risky when it comes to expected points and what actually might happen in any given game week? So your recommendations are, firstly, the move that you've already said, Saar to Rodgers, which you got to take that when your exact move gets sort of backed up by the AI. It's always good. There is a second move though, and this is what I mean. Sort of, I don't think this is a move that many humans would play, especially if you've been playing FPL for a long time. It's Mikalenko to Luka Dean, which is a crazy move, but on paper, Dean's got the double.
Yeah.
But we all know how much of a trolley is. I mean, is he going to play both games? Is it worth getting him in just for the double? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean he's not something someone I would go near. Just I
Or
mean,
something?
yeah. I mean he has been like I mean he has been a huge troll for me FPL wise, but even looking at it, from an FPL perspective, he's got Mats in there, um, who's a direct competition for him, and he can easily just play one of the games. The only defender I would have gone for is Konsa if he was fit. Obviously, he's injured now. He's an injury out. I think he's the only truly nailed one. And then obviously there's Martinez, the goalkeeper. But yeah, I wouldn't be going near Digne.
Fair enough. But it's nice to see that Rodgers is being predicted to do well
Yeah,
this week
yeah, definitely.
in for Saar. Also, I don't know if you've already made the move, but you can see these little icons here. Saar is predicted to fall pretty soon, and Rodgers is predicted to rise pretty soon, if not tonight. So that's what those little pound icons mean, the red and green ones. So have you made the move yet, or are you...
I haven't, no. And I was
Okay,
looking at SAR's price last night, and he was actually predicted to fall in some websites.
right.
But I thought, no, I'm going to give it another week, sorry, another day because I want to wait until the press conferences. So I'm hoping they both kind of hold off. But if Sar's looking to fall tonight and Rodgers is going to rise, I'll probably just make the move because I think we know Rodgers is fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the price predictions now. Sorry,
Mhm.
and then we go Rodgers right at the top. This is completely free, by the way. If you want to just have a look at who's predicted to rise and fall, all you got to do is just go on the website, link down below. But yeah, there you can see Rodgers is predicted to rise in price tonight, Thursday. So if you want him, yeah, get him for 0.1 cheaper than he will be tomorrow. There we go, mate. I think that is going to do it for this one. Have we covered most things? We haven't talked about captaincy because we obviously don't need to.
Yeah.
But that's been about half an hour of good chat. I think we've covered a lot of stuff. Good luck this game week.
You
Good
too,
luck
mate.
to all of you guys as well. And yeah, we will catch you on the next one.